Hello, Leo. Welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. My name is Paul. If Leo is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your tarot card reading. Remember to hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. It is totally free, doesn't cost anything. If there is anything you would like me to pray over or meditate upon or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Leo, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. And right out of the gate, we've got one of your Leo power cards. This is the Prince of Wands. This is a fixed fire energy. This represents the sign of Leo, the quality of Leo in action. This is a card that has a sustained enthusiasm. This energy does not waver. It does not wane, right? It does not diminish. You're somebody that when you commit to something, when you believe in something, there are no days off. You're there every day. You're showing up, right? You're putting in the work. And I feel that this is somebody that really is excited about what they do and wants to do it every single day, where it's not a job. It's like you want to do it all the time. It's kind of almost to the point where we feel like we can't think of anything else, But this is that sustained effort over time. Now, at the beginning of a project or beginning of a path, it's maybe easy to feel pretty hyped up about it, right? But as time goes on, hey, it starts to get monotonous. We start to get bored. We run into challenges, right? You have this ability to keep going, that there's something in your life that you love so much that even when it's hard and difficult, good days, bad days, you're there. You're showing up. You're putting in the work, and you couldn't imagine being anywhere else. Yeah. Let's put this card into some context. This is a great way to start a reading. Very, very powerful energy for you right now. And we've got a Nine of Swords, and that is kind of the test, right? That's the test of how badly you want this, if you're willing to endure those days that are, it takes effort to get out of bed. It takes effort to continue doing what we're doing, right? Five of Cups. Yeah, that's Six of Wands behind you. You have a Nine of Cups above you and Seven of Wands in front of you, okay? So it feels to me like you're going through a rough patch in this sustained effort of yours. But you're doing it for the right reasons. This is something that is your destiny. It is your purpose to be here. Okay, and you're willing to endure a Nine of Swords kind of energy in order to continue to manifest your ultimate happiness, because you know that this is something that you're meant to do. Let's keep going on the path of the Serpent. We have a Two of Wands, Six of Pentacles, Four of Pentacles, and the Fool. And the Fool, I think it really is, to me, it feels like a transcendence. It feels like the outcome here is a release from whatever this current difficulty is for you. And the Nine of Swords, it's it's got to be one of the worst cards, right? But we're seeing it as an alternative to the Nine of Cups. This is happiness. This is whatever the opposite of happiness is. This is like misery. This is full-on, soulful happiness, spiritual abundance, and the highest conception of happiness that you can come up with, okay? This is abundance and joy on the physical, financial, mental, emotional, and the spiritual creative planes. This is everything. This is the opposite of that. This is misery on the physical, financial, mental, emotional, spiritual, creative planes. So what you're trying to do in life is replace this with this. And that, to me, is a freedom from really freedom from this Nine of Swords, freedom from that kind of despair. And I think the despair and the misery really comes from you not pursuing what you know to be your path, what it is that you are dreaming about, what is this will that you have in you, okay? So whatever hardship you're going through now is kind of nothing compared to what your life would be like if you weren't pursuing this path of yours. Whether this is a spiritual path, whether it's a financial path, family, friends, maybe it's work, career, maybe it's your art, your vocation, whatever it is, music, well, I mean, anything. Whatever this path is, the idea of not doing it hurts more than any difficulty, any obstacle that you may face, okay? And so we kind of look at the Nine of Swords as being the pain of separation, what it would feel like to not be on this path and to not have this thing in your life, whatever it is. All right, now let's select our mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot. And we're just going to set this down right here with our little sea turtle friend, right on top. And now we're not going to look at that card until the very end, but it will tie everything together and hopefully give us the confirmation that we need. If at any point during this program you feel like you know what that card is, I want you to put your prediction, your hunch, or your guess down in the comments. All right. First, let's look around the room. We want the major arcana first, and all we have here today is the Fool, right? It's all wrapped up into this Fool energy, which to me feels like a transcendence. It feels like there's even, I feel like there's a little bit of a little bit of a questioning going on with you. You're kind of wondering with this Fool energy, are you being a fool, or are you being the sage? Right? And that's the holy fool here. This is either the dumbest thing that you've committed yourself to, or this is going to be the very best thing. It's kind of like it's either or, it's black or white. It's either going to be the best thing, or it's going to be absolute misery. Okay? And I feel that the Fool is kind of saying that, look, you're leveling up, you're transcending your current situation. And maybe the Nine of Swords is saying that, hey, things got to get a little bit more dicey before they start to really solidify, as we see over here, and really come together before you really achieve this success and this harmony and the start to get into this real happiness here. That things might be getting a little bit more difficult. It could be that you're experiencing with the Nine of Swords a little bit of that, the dark night of the soul, right? That we're on this mission. You're on this path in life, and it's starting to feel not so pleasant. It's starting to feel like, the real joy has kind of dissipated for now, and it kind of feels like this is like a spiritual dryness, where we're continuing to do the things, but we're not feeling that overwhelming joy that we used to. Well, this is part of the path. This is a major part of the path. Okay? So you're right where you need to be. What you're feeling right now is completely expected at this point, because I feel that at the beginning, there's all this love and joy, this enthusiasm. And then during the long middle period, it's usually when people quit, because they start to realize, wow, this is hard work. Wow, this isn't all fun and games. Wow, there are challenges here. I am going to have good days, bad days. Wow, wasn't expecting all this. It's not euphoric every single day. That's when most people kind of fold, throw in the towel, wave the white flag. Okay, so this is something that you are enduring. And Spirit is telling you, keep going. Don't quit now that things are getting a little bit rocky, or that things are getting, you're starting to feel a little bit of that monotony, a little bit of the, a little bit of really the grind of things, rather than that just the joy and the enthusiasm of it. I think you're starting to feel a little bit, the reality is setting in. You see what I mean? So we have the Fool, which I think is then a return of that holy feeling, a return of that sense of the holiness of your task. And I think once we pass through this dark night, you're going to be spiritually renewed. And this happiness is going to be right there with you. And this is going to be euphoric. This is going to be bliss. Okay, this is really what we're after, these two. But to get to these two, we've got to go through some of these other things, you see. So we've got our fire, 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 fire. Lots of fire here for you. And fire is really Spirit's way of saying, keep fighting. Keep your engines on. Keep moving forward. Don't stop. Don't quit. Don't let off the gas in any way. Okay? Even though we start to feel this way, again, this is where most people quit. You're not quitting. My voice is quitting on me. We have a little bit of water. Okay? We have happiness. We have sadness. And I think this is very real in a certain sense, because you understand that this path, you're going to go right in between periods of happiness and sadness. You're going to fluctuate between these two energies, okay, very often. And I think now we're starting to realize that there is this underlying this is kind of the card that I think what the Buddha said, existence is suffering. You know, that the pain of this is unavoidable. If you really want this, and you really want the success that we do see here, 6 of Pentacles, in the position of your environment, you will succeed at this. But you're going to have to suffer a little bit. There's going to be pain involved. Okay? And so if you're able to realize this and come to terms with this, then the fluctuation of the good days, bad days, not really a big deal. You can handle it. You can handle it for that ultimate reward of transcending that suffering of the world and experiencing real joy and happiness up here. Okay. So we've got our water. We don't have any air cards. The Fool is the only air energy we have. And I think in that sense, when we think of the Fool as being air, that's when I kind of get that idea like we're wondering if we maybe made a mistake, right? We're kind of wondering if, man, was that just a really stupid thing I did, committing to this path or beginning this work or whatever, committing to this thing? And I think Spirit's saying, no, it was, well, let's not forget we have this air energy. We already talked about that. But sometimes when we get this together, these two, as the air energy, we start to wonder if we maybe have bitten off more than we could chew, if we didn't realize what we were getting ourselves into. And again, this is where most people quit, because they'll realize what the path really is. If this is a spiritual path, if this is a career thing, if this is a creative path, if this is a relationship, it's not all fun and games. And again, most people quit here, not you. So we got our air energy anyway. And we do have some earth cards over here. A 6 and a 4. The 6 is what we want. The 4 is part of our obstacle. Okay. So we talked about that 9 of Swords, and we'll come back to the 9 of Swords periodically. And you will have to excuse my voice today. I'm dealing with a bit of a chest cold still. But it's on its way out, so we're okay. Down beneath the surface, 5 of Cups. This is disappointment. This is really, I think, some motivation in you. Because this is saying that, look, you're not going to be happy unless you're on this path. And so again, it kind of ties into what we said before about the idea of not being on this path hurts more than the path itself, right? Well, that's strange, because the 9, of course, is way more severe than a 5 of Cups. The 5 of Cups is sort of disappointment. It's sort of a sadness. And it's kind of, really with the 5 of Cups, it's this feeling that something should be there, but it's not, isn't there. And I think this is really your recognition that you cannot be happy in life unless you're pursuing this path, no matter how difficult it is. It's almost that the difficulty is just kind of confirming that, yeah, this is where you're supposed to be. Okay? If there are moments of despair, moments of that sort of spiritual dryness or emotional dryness, where it just feels kind of tedious, it feels, well, boring is probably an understatement. But it feels like you're doing all this work, but you're not getting the joy out of it all the time, right? That's part of the path. That is that dryness. That is that dark night of the soul, okay? And the Five of Cups is you understanding that if you endure, that's going to pass. You will come through that. Okay? The Five of Cups is all about the fluctuation of emotions. They're waves that come upon us and they leave again. And I kind of feel like in a way with that, with the Nine of Swords, we have fire, fire, air, fire right here. I kind of feel that that dryness is saying that, look, you don't even really feel sadness right now. It's kind of like I don't feel anything. I just feel kind of the despair of having that, again, that emotional or spiritual dryness. And the dryness, I think, is a perfect word because it shows that there's the lack of the water energy in this straight path. So kind of what we want is we just want to feel something. Okay? We just want to feel something here. And we know that we have to fight through this period where it just feels maybe, I think the Four of Pentacles is really telling here about what's going on. Because the Four of Pentacles, to me, I know I'm kind of skipping around a little bit. Four of Pentacles is the routine. This is the boredom. This is the feeling like I'm trapped in this thing. This is the feeling like I haven't seen the sun in days. I've just been here working, you know. And it's not, we don't feel anything. It's just kind of like we're just almost numb, right? And this is what we don't want. This is what we don't want. This is the obstacle, again, sort of push through this routine and to keep going. This is very steady. So it's kind of showing that we're continuing to do this work, whatever this is. Maybe this is a work thing, a career, or maybe it's in a sport that you're learning or a skill or something like this. Maybe it's literally a spiritual practice, you know. But the Five of Cups is kind of, I think, our wanting to just feel something. Can I just get mad at the work? Can I just bring some sort of emotion here? Or can I get angry? Can I get frustrated? Right? We really want that joy and that euphoria. But we would settle for, I think, for any kind of emotion right now. Yeah. Because I feel like Leo gets this sort of, Leo gets this stereotype of being very proud and very almost stoic, right? Where you're not affected. You don't get emotional. You don't really have feelings, right? Well, we know that's not true. We know that you do. I think Leo is one of the most noble of the signs. I think very sensitive, right? But very, I feel that nobility, very virtuous. And I feel that sometimes you will push your own emotions down for the sake of what you're doing, because you know what you're doing is right. That you'll say, you know what, my immediate emotions are not relevant to the path I'm on right now. I think that's kind of what you're doing now. You're trying to just suffer and endure. And that's what Spirit is telling you. Keep going, right? Seven of Wands in the future. And it's kind of it's kind of a good thing, kind of not a good thing, that you can set aside how you feel. Because I think that, like, what we really want is to feel something. But I think there's part of you that's pushing that down to say, I just need to focus on what I'm doing and get through this period of time. Maybe if we worry, if we start to feel the feelings here, then maybe that will make us quit. Maybe that's what makes other people quit, is that they get into a rough patch and they start really just like feeling it, lamenting it, crying out against it, right? And then they just end up saying, it's too much to bear, and I'm going to quit. So I think there's a very powerful part of you that's saying, I'm saving this for later. I'm saving how I feel for later because I've just got to go through this and endure. If then I can have that release. And now maybe the Fool becomes that emotional release. And it becomes really these two saying, now you can feel all the feelings you want. Okay. Now the Six of Wands in your past here. I feel like you kind of know the joy of getting things done. You know the joy of succeeding or accomplishing goals. I think you've accomplished a lot of goals in your life. I almost wonder too if you had a lot of success in one area, and then you kind of gave it up to pursue something that was more soulful, that was more you felt more of a meaning or a purpose, right? So I don't know if you kind of I feel like you made a big transition in your life at some point in the last few years. Maybe you had a particular career path, and one day you just kind of said, you know what, I'm shifting over here instead. Okay? Because I feel like you know what hard work is. You know what it's like to achieve things. And maybe you've been working on something for a long time and succeeding at it, but you didn't feel it, right? And so now maybe that's kind of that could be where we are now in a way. Is that you've decided to pursue this path. I remember I said at the beginning that you're pursuing something with this kind of sustained effort. You're not giving up. You're not quitting. This is the long middle period where you've just got to stick it out and you've got to push forward through it, right? So maybe this is still a relatively new path for you. Okay? Maybe there was a long commitment to something else previously, but you realize that it wasn't your mission in life, that it wasn't your destiny. Okay? So it really could be that you gave up something that was successful, maybe, a successful business person or something like that, a successful career. And you gave that up to pursue something that has perhaps more challenges to it. It's more painful, but it's infinitely more rewarding. And I think that's where you are today. Okay. Now, the Seven of Wands in the future position. This is Spirit's way of saying, keep going. Don't give up. That you are, you're making like a name for yourself in a new area of life. And you're being told to endure. You're being told to push forward. Don't give up. Don't quit. Okay? I think what you're looking at is you're looking for that strength to get through this current, I think is a dry period or dark night of the soul. You are realizing that you are capable of overcoming these challenges. And you're understanding, I think, what parts of you, what strengths you have that are going to allow you to turn this into a win too. And I think that your past is very significant. All the things that made you successful back here, even if this wasn't, the purpose, even this didn't feel like this was your destiny, this required a lot of talent, a lot of skill. You've got a lot of strengths that are working for you here. And you're being told to apply those. The Mars in Leo energy, it's kind of like Spirit's telling you to fight. Spirit's telling you to give it everything you have, because that Nine of Cups at the top, this is what you're hoping for. This is the reason why you're going to fight so hard. Because of this. To turn your life from this to this. Okay, now the Nine of Swords could be, like I said, it could be that dryness. It could be that feeling of, or that state really of just kind of abandonment or loneliness. right? Where it feels like we're in that part of the path where everyone's against us. Nobody's supporting us. Nobody's encouraging us. We're all alone, right? It's like we're all alone in the desert. And we don't have anybody to rely on but ourselves. And I think this is kind of where you might be at mentally, kind of thinking, this is it. It's all on me. And this then would be the oasis. This would be the oasis. Okay. And you can't turn back. The only way is forward here. Okay. Through the dryness of this desert. You've come too far to go back. Right? So you have to go forward if we're going to get to that oasis, to that paradise, to this Nine of Cups. This is really, truly happiness. And this is what you want. Okay, and you understand that to get this, to get what you want, you've got to go through this. You've got to find a way to overcome the odds here. Okay, and that is going to create in you this greatness. Okay, we've got the Six of Pentacles over here. That's success. That is, you see the light at the end of this tunnel. Okay. So as we talk about the path of the serpent, I would like to ask for your subscription. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's free. Doesn't cost anything. Your general energy. Two of Wands. Fighting. This is another Mars energy. In fact, we got a lot of Mars here today, don't we? There's Mars in Gemini here. There's Mars in Leo. There's Mars in Aries. There's Mars in Scorpio. A lot of Mars energy here today. I didn't even realize it was that much. Okay. And the Mars energy is kind of, that's the fight. You think Mars, right? This is the god of war, right? That's the power that you need right now. That's when you don't want to go anymore, you get up and go harder. When you want to sleep in the morning, you wake up earlier, right? When you're tired and you want to quit, that's when you stand up and you find that reserve tank of gas. Okay? And it's kind of like, it's a reaction against the, some of that despair, some of that misery. That's just kind of, it's like there's part of you that's just saying, just quit. Just lie down right now. Just go to sleep. Just, give up. And that's when Mars really needs to come in and flex the muscles and push even harder. You're in that period of time. And that's why I feel like it's a test. Now we have Mars in Gemini. So it's a mental thing, right? It's a mental fortitude, really. It's kind of like fighting against our own negative thinking, fighting against our own sort of impulse to quit, to give up. And so sometimes we've got to be a little bit harsh with ourselves. Sometimes we got to be mentally, when we think to ourselves, when we speak to ourselves, sometimes we got to be firm. And we just say, no, you're going to get up right now and you're going to keep going. Especially, let's say you're in the desert. And it's thirsty work, right? Maybe that's why I should probably get some of my tea here. We feel that the easiest thing would be to give up, to just completely lie down and quit. That's when your mind must sort of wake up and say, no, you get the F up right now and you keep going. Okay? And that's really the meaning of the Nine of Swords. This is how we speak in those harsh, very blunt. We're not nice here. We're not sugarcoating anything. We're direct and to the point. This is about truth. It's Mars in Gemini. It's not just being delicate and saying, please, please get up. No, it's like, it's tearing things apart and saying, you're coming with me. And I feel like sometimes that's how we talk to ourselves. Okay? And down here we have the Mars in Scorpio, which is, again, it's kind of the feeling like, God, wouldn't your bed feel so nice right now? Wouldn't it just feel so comfortable to just close your eyes and go back to sleep? Let's hit the snooze button. Let's just take the day off. Let's just, indulge in our emotions, indulge in our physical desires. And so this is where we have to understand that sometimes to get what we really want, which is Jupiter energy, right? To get that expansiveness, to get the joy, the jubilation, to get the rewards, the banquet. Sometimes we got to go hungry a little bit, right? So we need that Mars. Mars is that very fiery, very adamant, very warlike austerity, right? And it's just kind of, we're sacrificing, we are suffering, we are enduring in order to get the rewards of that big, huge feast and banquet. Yeah. So I like that we have the Mars sort of juxtaposed next to this, the Jupiter energy. We have Jupiter in Leo here, Jupiter in Pisces here. Okay? The expansion and satisfaction of your truly spiritual goals, your life path, your destiny. This is really that spiritual banquet. And this being a Jupiter in Leo energy, this was where all of your strengths and talents really paid off. You were a successful person in some other dimension of life, even though it didn't feel like this was your mission. This was a major accomplishment. Okay, so it's kind of like you're giving up the luxury of Jupiter for the austerity of Mars, because you know that's how you're going to get the true banquet of Jupiter here, the true luxury of your spiritual attainments. Okay? So Mars is the way to go anyway, for now. For now. And it's temporary, and we know that. The Two of Wands, like I was saying, this is a Mars in Aries energy. It's kind of saying that you have to muster up that enthusiasm like you just started this path. And maybe it's asking you to remember, what was it about the beginning of this that felt so good? Think back to when you first started this work, this path, this skill, this sport, this career, whatever it is. Not necessarily just to kind of remember the facts or the details, but remember the feeling, remember the vibe, remember the fire that was in you. Okay? This is kind of like, this is how we can choose to motivate ourselves. We can't control the external circumstances. We can control ourselves. You can control how motivated you are. And some of that's through this martial energy by just forcing it, essentially. This card's all about control. And this is us controlling our own ego, controlling our own physical desires for sleep, gratification, for I just want to take the day off and watch Netflix and eat food, you know. When you would rather stay in bed and be lazy and lounge and relax, that's when you have to work harder. When your body would rather just kind of sit there and watch TV, that's when you have to get up and work harder. Okay? When you want to hit the snooze button, that's 15 minutes of extra luxury. But think about what you're giving up by doing that. You're giving up this greater, I think, spiritual goal. This is, again, the physical, financial, mental, emotional, and the spiritual creative planes. Every dimension of your life. Becoming abundant and satisfied, full of meaning, luxury, the banquet, the real spiritual feast. We're going to sacrifice this for 8 minutes of more sleep or whatever the snooze button does, like it's 9 minutes or something, 11 minutes. So this is the choice we have of how to control ourselves, really. So this is self-motivation. Yeah, and it's another Mars energy. Mars and Aries, it's kind of like we're just picking ourselves up and we're moving forward, and you have that ability. Like I said at the beginning, you're in this very powerful energy right now, where you're like, you're taking no losses. You're not putting up with any crap from yourself or from anybody, right? I wouldn't want to get in your way right now, especially when you can't get between a hungry person and their feast, or a thirsty person in the desert. You don't want to come between them and water, because they'll tear you apart. You know what I mean? Now, in the environment, you've got the Six of Pentacles. This is the oasis. This is the light at the end of the tunnel. I think that as much as we feel that we're stranded, lonely, abandoned, we're on our own. I think indeed you have success. You have support and nourishment very close to you. Okay. I think that we have to recognize how far we've come as well. You know, not to allow this to enable us to just sort of, okay, well, I could take a day off then, you know, but to realize that we're so close we can see it, and this is going to be more motivating to you. See, this is in your environment, and this just seems like a bright light, right? It seems like it is just glowing. This is at the other end of the desert there. You can see the oasis. You can see it, and it sort of gives you that burst of energy, gives you that surge of force and fire to continue on the path. Okay? This is material success. I think that Spirit will put the right people, places, and things on your path when you need them. Okay? So if this is that oasis for you, this is what Spirit has placed there for you to go and, you know, maybe, I was going to say take comfort in this, but to be motivated by this. And now, obviously, if you're in the desert and you're thirsty, find water, right? So you have to take care of your basic needs. You have to keep yourself, your body, your heart, your mind, your spirit operating sort of functionally here, okay? Operating in this harmonious way. So we want to make sure that we accept the help from others, that we accept what Spirit is putting on our path, that as a resource that we're meant to find and interact with. See, this is harmony and success in your relationships. So we need to make sure that we're in all this martial energy, that it's not bleeding over into your relationships and making you kind of an a-hole to your friends. You know what I mean? We don't want that Mars energy to disrupt our harmonious relation with the outside world. You need cooperation of other people. Okay? So we may feel abandoned and lonely, and we may be angry, we may be fighting and thirsty, and just really we're ragged at this point. But we need to be able to take the hand of the people around us. We need to be able to work together. This could be a group setting for you. And it might be a need for you, even though you're in all this Mars energy right now. This is the need. I know this video is getting long. This is your need to be part of a group, to be able to function in the context of the world. Mars is just going to go through the world, destroying everything, tearing down everything in its path, right? You can't quite be that way. You still got to be able to, again, network with people, to get along, to cooperate with people, to be able to have harmonious exchanges with people. It's a business kind of thing here with this. It's cooperation. It's the traveler in the desert comes to the caravanserai, you know, and is able to talk to people and trade and make friends and find nourishment and get a little bit of info from people about where the good clean water is or something, you know, or where the best hotel is or something in this area. To find the resources that you need, you have to be able to harmonize and resonate with people. I think that's very important for you right now, especially with all this Mars energy that you're feeling, all this power. We got to make sure we have this sort of this delicacy, this delicateness with others, to be able to bond, to be able to be part of the group. Okay, so I think that's very important. Now, the obstacle here is, or the difficulty, the fear, the worry, the concern is the 4. Okay, and the 4 is. It's kind of like that caravanserai. It's kind of like that little, it's that motel on the side of the road that we stop at when we need to replenish ourselves. We need to gather more supplies. We don't want to stay here forever, right? We know we need to continue on. There's still more path to travel. This is also your fear of just getting stuck into what I think we're stuck in back here. Getting into some sort of successful position and kind of getting trapped in that, and maybe beginning to believe that that is success, and because this is like a material power. This is earthly power. This is saying, I've achieved something, and this is where I want to stay, thinking that this was the goal, thinking that this is where I really want to be, that this was my destiny. But really, this is just a prison. This is just a routine, a monotony that you don't want to remain in. This is supposed to be a temporary thing. And in another sense, if you are in this dark night of the soul, this dry period, our biggest fear is that this is never going to end. Our biggest fear is that we're going to keep walking forward eternally, and we're going to end up like going in a circle, right? That we'll never find our way out of this. That's the fear, that we're locked in. Reminds me of that show, From, I think. I think it's a show called From. Anyway, they can't get out of this town, and it's just a nightmare. But then any direction they go, they just end up right back inside this little town. It's like a horror series show. But they can't get out, so the biggest fear is that we're just locked in. And it doesn't matter. The biggest fear is that we put in all this effort, and we never get out of this period, and nothing ever happens. I never feel the feast. I never get to the Jupiter banquet, right? I never get that spiritual kind of euphoria, purpose, achievement, abundance, jubilation, right? And we never have that hallelujah moment. Okay. And this is, this is the feeling too. I think the reason why you're doing all this, you're not satisfied with just a basic life. You're not satisfied with just ordinary. Right? This is what everybody else is doing. This is what everybody else has. You got something extra here. Okay? And I think the Fool is showing that, yeah, this was the craziest change you've ever made in life. Whatever this was back here, when you had this success and you chose to switch paths. I feel like it was a major shift. I feel like you just kind of scrapped everything and started over. And maybe this was like maybe people around you said, boy, that's the stupidest thing I've ever seen anybody do. You threw away all that. For what, But I think it's going to prove to be the most brilliant thing you've ever done. And you will very soon achieve that spiritual banquet. That 9 of Cups is yours. And this is why we're working so hard. For true happiness. You're leveling up, you're transcending the ordinary. The Fool does not want to be trapped in this. The Fool is saying anywhere but here. Anywhere but ordinary. The Fool is special. Okay. And the Fool is willing to take the risks to get out of this box. You don't want to be just lumped into the same category as 99% of people. You're doing something real special here. Okay. And now we're going to look at our mystery card. I know this video is really long. I don't know how this got away from me like this. The mystery card, obviously, I want it to be more water energy. But I feel like it's going to be a major arcana card. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments. Maybe the Empress. Let's see. It's the Magician. Oh, wow. Well, even better. The Fool becomes the Magician, right? That's the quest. This is what the tarot's all about. That's it. These 2 cards. The Fool becoming the Magician. The Fool not knowing anything, being kind of dumb, empty-headed, right? It's a big fat 0. Nobody, nothing, empty. Becoming everything. The 0 becomes the 1. It's binary. It's either you're nothing or you're everything. Yeah. You're either you don't exist or you do. It's very Taoist here. Becoming the Magician is your ability to go through all of this, knowing what it is that you're trying to create. There's something that's flowing through you. It's not just your human aspirations. It's not your ego. There's something spiritual flowing through you, and it's your job as a human being. It's your job to manifest that, and that's what you're doing. And so you heard the call, you answered the call, and here you are in the middle of this path, in the middle of this desert. And you're thinking, I gave up all this luxury of my past job or whatever to be out here struggling in the desert. Well, it's your job. It's your spiritual duty, okay? And you will succeed. And what you are manifesting is your spiritual purpose, your abundance, your bliss. And the fool is becoming the magician. And the magician has to go through all of the difficulties of training, all of the tests, all of the challenges. The magician has to prove its abilities. Yeah. Going from the 0 to the 1. Yeah. And you are the 1. We're going to do an extended reading. If you want to stick around for that, there's a link in the corner. There's a link down below. New readings for Leo Tuesday and Saturday. Be sure to watch both readings. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Leave a comment. Let me know where in the world you're currently watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you, and we're all in this together.